So I've got a lot of people asking me right now, especially after the whole crypto crash, hey, are these mined-on GPUs, or these used GPUs okay to buy? And in this video, I intend to really, answer that question. So in front of you right now is an RTX 2070 Super. It's an ROG Strix model. We're going to run some benchmarks, run some tests, take it apart, and see if these are okay to buy. So this particular card the 2070 Super came out in June of 2019, and it was like June 9th or something like that. This card in front of you was bought in July, so about a month after release, and the day it was purchased, it was put in a mining rig, and it continued mining until the day before Ethereum went to proof of stake. So it mined for a good 3 years of continuous on time, wasn't turned off once in those 3 years. So if any card is going to have issues, it's going to be this one. Very common points of failure for video cards are actually going to be the fans. So that's really what we want to be focusing on, because I guarantee you the GPU itself is fine. Yes, it was mined on for the entire duration of its life, but mined on GPUs are often taken very well care of. So they're often under much cooler conditions than in gamers' cases. They're often undervolted to conserve power, stuff like that. But with the way these GPUs are manufactured, they put a very large aluminum heatsink on there, on the actual PCB, and then they put very cheap fans on them. So those fans are often a very common point of failure, and the problem with that is, if that fan fails, you can't just replace it. You have to replace the whole card. So let's go ahead, let's take apart the GPU. We're going to take the heatsink off of the GPU itself, and we're going to look at it. We're going to look for any discoloration, anything like that, just to kind of give us an indication of, hey, was this card abused? Was it, whatever? Are there hot spots on the GPU? Anything like that. All right, so we've got the heatsink taken off of the card right now. Everything's cleaned down, so we can have a good look at it. And looking at the heatsink, I don't see any bent pins, any discoloration around the heatsink, which would indicate hot spots from the GPU burning into the aluminum. Nothing like that. So that kind of tells me that this card was kept cool and quiet for the duration of its life. All of the fans spin freely. There's not a huge amount of dust buildup. Everything looks fine. And these are all things you can do if you're, out looking at a GPU on Craigslist or whatever, minus taking it apart. But looking at the PCB here, everything looks fine. There's no discoloration. PCB is still, or the die itself is still shiny. Everything's fine. So what we can do now, and you should be able to do this if you're on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace looking for a GPU, ask for a demo. So ask for a demo, get the card plugged in, run the card. And so let's turn the game on, act like we're just kind of checking a card, see what we can do, and let's talk about it. All right, so we're sitting here in Cyberpunk 2077, and again, the purpose of this video is less how many FPS does the RTX 2070 Super get, and more so, what are we looking for when we're buying a used card, and say maybe we get to do a demo, or you bought a card on eBay, you got it home, and you're in the return window, and you're trying to decide, hey, was this card abused? Is this something I want to keep around? So what you're really looking for is when you're in a game, listen to the fans on the card, listen to any knocking, dead giveaways of, hey, is a fan actually dead here and nobody told me about it? If that fan's dead, either return that card on eBay or just don't buy it. But what we're really looking for here, instead of the number of FPS, because it's going to vary from system to system, what we're really looking for is frame times. We want to make sure our frame times are fairly consistent. We want to make sure our GPU temperatures are about what they should be. Again, that's going to vary from case to case, but a 2070 Super inside of a good system shouldn't be pinned at 90 degrees Celsius. So You're looking for temperature, frame times, stuff like that. Weird artifacting inside of the, inside of games and whatnot. Like, for whatever reason, if you've got just a giant black object, like a black obelisk instead of a building, or you're seeing weird etching on the card itself, or like weird etching on the screen. Another thing you can do to look for to see if the card is bad is before you even turn it on, if you're on a Facebook listing, ask them, say, hey, do all my output ports work? And if you're at home, check, make sure all your all your video outs work. Because a dead video out could be a dead giveaway of something, a component or something about to die. But yeah, that's really just about it. This card appears to be running fine, and I don't see any issues whatsoever buying used cards. They're great value for money, and if you're just a little bit careful on the market, you're going to be fine. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's Cable. Out.